Hi YouTube, Jan here from Before You Now, equipping and encouraging ministry by bringing you tools that save you time, money, and resources. Today, we are going to talk about the launch of my first free resource. I am so excited to share this with you. This is a social media outreach planner that has a focus on Christian ministries, projects, and small businesses. Now, if you're looking at my overall profile and the date when this was filmed and going, what on earth does a woman who has 2 YouTube videos have to say to me about social media? Let me assure you that I bring to this conversation 15 years, give or take a bit, about 15 years of experience working on the other side of the camera. I was a public affairs officer in the United States Navy, served all over the world doing that type of work. It's community outreach, public relations, media, integrated communications, and so on. And then I took those skills and leveraged them both in the for and nonprofit sectors, ultimately coming to work mostly with my own nonprofit that I founded in 2014. So a lot of tips, tricks, and best practices, but you can get that anywhere. What I think makes this conversation unique is that I have spent a lot of time, I mean thousands and thousands of hours, years and years and years, studying and learning about leadership, ethics, and management. And I am a total strategy nerd. I did my undergraduate work at the Naval Academy and later went on at the end of my Reserve Forces career to serve as a traveling instructor on topics of leadership and ethics for the Navy. So I love strategy. I love to talk to you about it. And in the interest of keeping this video short, we're actually going to break this conversation into 6 pieces. Those 6 pieces correspond to the free social media outreach planner for Christians. I'm going to put a link to it up in the content bar, the header here on the YouTube video, for as long as this series runs. If you're viewing this further down the road and this series was filmed a while back, you can always find it at my website and we'll put a link right down there. So today we're going to jump into the first section, and I've actually got the planner here before me. We're heading into 2020 next week, and I am using this planner to plan my own social media outreach for this ministry. So the first section is an overview, and the question's a pretty simple one. What am I doing? What are you doing with your business or your project? So as we dive into that question, we're going to start with the verse of scripture. I was really drawn to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 4 through 6. And you see it printed there at the top of this section if you've already pulled down your free planning guide. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same God which worketh in all. I feel like we should say amen at the end because that verse is so extremely powerful, but let's take that energy, let's take that inspiration and dive right in. First of all, what's your business's name? Do you have one? If you don't have one, what are some ideas? Go ahead and start jotting them in the blocks there. If you don't have a business name yet, you'll need to do the research about whether that name is currently in use in your state. Make sure you're looking up your state regulations and doing a thorough database on your state comptroller's website. Next is your business structure. And some people go, well, hey, this is a Christian outreach planner. Why are we talking about money right away? Well, because if you fall in violation of tax or other laws and you get shut down, your business and your ministry is no good to anyone. So from the very beginning, we need to get your money right. We need to get your budget and your accounting processes right. The other thing that I believe very, very firmly in is if you've never heard the saying, show me your budget and I'll tell you what's important to you. It's very true. You don't have to say a word. Show me your budget. Show me your organization's budget, and I can tell you exactly what is important to that organization, that individual, that family, whatever. Okay, so from the beginning, we need to be thinking about the money and how you're going to track and follow it. All right, so What is your structure? Are you an LLC? Are you a DBA, a doing business as? Are you a 501c3 nonprofit? And how are you keeping your financial records? Are you going to hire a CPA? Are you going to do your own bookkeeping? If you do your own bookkeeping, are you going to use a spreadsheet, software, what? If it gives you any encouragement, start where you are, be transparent, be honest, be detailed, don't be stressed. I ran a nonprofit that served thousands of people on the same spreadsheet that I've been using for my household since I was in college. Start with what you know, don't overcomplicate it, don't get bogged down with the technology. Next question, what does your business do? Right? Now you see in italics, and again, if you haven't grabbed your planner, go up and pause this, go up and grab it, come back to the conversation, okay? What do you hear when you pray for a vision for your business? And if you don't hear anything yet, that's okay. Just keep praying. God's probably going to take you one decision at a time, and that in itself is wonderful and magical and fun and unexpected and everything you'd want. Okay, but the point here is you need to be praying at every step of your business development. Side note, the reason that I put this together so early in my own YouTube presence is because when I went online to look for a resource like this that was geared toward Christians and offered business planning rooted in faith, I couldn't easily find one. I think it says something about our culture, but I think it also says that we as a Christian community need to do a better job of reaching out and making resources available. Now, I know there's stuff out there that's not saying there's not, and that's not downplaying the efforts of anything that is out there that I don't know about. Simply saying, as a typical person who's starting a YouTube channel, I want to make these resources easier to find. So that's why we're here. All right. Next, how does your business make lives better? What problems does your business solve? And again, what do you hear when you pray to be God's hands and feet? Where does He want to take you? The nonprofit organization that I referenced earlier, the Xena Project, I founded it when I got back from Afghanistan, thinking that we were going to be a physical therapy program for my peers, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s. We started serving a lot of Vietnam and Korea veterans, and today we spend the bulk of our time and resources working in the justice sector, working in courts and jails. The only jails I'd ever seen were in Afghanistan until we launched this program. But God led us there one decision at a time. And in hindsight, I was hearing pretty early in my prayer life that we needed to go to jails. I was just scared and I didn't see how it was going to happen. We got there 4.5 years later, right? But my point with this is you've got to stay in prayer. You've got to be asking God what He wants for your business. It is not about you. If you are being called, then you are being equipped. And part of you being equipped is you finding this channel and finding these resources. So we can save you time. You're not going to have to take 5-6 years to learn all the things that we have at the Xena Project. You don't have to go to the Naval Academy to distill down the leadership lessons. You don't have to be in the fleet all over the world. We can tell you about that. And then you can take your ministry and run with it. So be in prayer. What does God want your business to be? And then be willing to do the work if His answer is different than yours. And it very well might be, at least slightly. All right, let's keep it moving. What products or services do you offer? This should be a pretty straightforward one, right? Like in this ministry, in this conversation, I offer books. I am an author. My first book came out earlier this year. My second and third books are both due out within the next 30 days, which is just amazing dream level stuff that I'm so excited to share with you. But what products or services do you offer? You really got to get a handle on it before you plan the rest of your social media strategy. And oftentimes when people are working on this block here, they get ideas for products and services that maybe go in their 6-month, 12-month, 3-year, 5-year, or way down the road plan. Now, let's go down a little bit of a rabbit hole about timelines, right? I hate them. I hate them. I am a huge advocate of event-driven planning. which means that you give some time and some thought to what order events might go in. You believe that event A will happen, which will trigger event B, event C, and so on down an infinite number of alphabets, right? But you may or may not have a timeline on them. And this is where the faith part comes in, because God can stop you at step 1 for the next 80 years, for your whole life, if you're not learning or doing what he wanted you to do, or if he needs you to stay at step 1, no matter what your own ideas were. He can also move you through all the steps in a heartbeat. And I've seen this time and time again in my own careers and my own time. So we want to keep you open. We want to focus on event-driven planning with a loose timeline to hold you accountable, right? You have some idea about how long you think each step might take. But the important thing is that it's event-driven, not timeline-driven. Okay? And in other very general questions at this first stage of planning, the overview stage, how and why do you believe that social media will help your business or help your products? Why are you even on social media? Do you need to be? I'll tell you the answer is yes. And it's a very simple one, because the people that you're trying to reach are on some type of social media in this day and age, and with the level of technological involvement in modern daily life. The people that you're trying to reach are on social media somehow. So you do need to be on it, but it's important to ask the question. When I very, very early in my military career, I was part of a planning team that was developing the Department of Defense's social media strategy, especially for families. We were giving guidelines to families in our units about how to safely engage on things like Facebook primarily at that time. But the point was, as we developed this strategy, we noticed a lot of families, a lot of units going, well, I need to be on Twitter, I need to be on Facebook, and now it's I need to be on Instagram, Snapchat. Whoa there, Thunderdog, slow your roll. Why? The only reason to be somewhere is if the people that you are called and compelled to reach are also there. I'm on video now because I serve and reach a lot of people who have brain injuries, they deal with trauma, they're in the depths of depression and anxiety when I meet them, they're really questioning their lives, perhaps they're isolated. But the bottom line is, though I prefer to write, the odds of them making it through a book or even a blog are relatively slim, right? But if I shoot a video and I talk, it feels more approachable, and it's in a format that a damaged or trauma-affected brain can actually process at that time. So here I am on the other side of the camera for that reason. The other reason I'm here is because I care very much about reaching people in rural areas. They may not have access to other technologies. They may not see me in a live speaking event or at a group event or in a church or as a consultant, right? So I need to reach them somehow. So that's why I'm on video. But you need to take the time to ask yourselves these questions. Why am I on social media at all? And then the follow-on question and the final one for the overview phase is, what platforms will you participate on and why? Okay, you need one number one platform. I'm asking you to identify up to 5 here in this workbook, but I'll tell you, if you're completely new to social media, no more than 2. Absolutely no more than 2. And if you've been using social media, but this is your first time engaging in the world as a brand, absolutely no more than 3, and you want them all to link to each other. You are going to be learning so much about how each platform operates, and you're going to be getting comfortable marketing and talking yourself as opposed to consulting or teaching others. It's been a huge learning curve for me. I have taught extremely high-powered people. We're talking the military equivalent of, CEOs and that sort of thing, all over the world, how to be on camera, how to present themselves, how to lay out photos. I've worked as a professional freelance photographer and done all of these things. My first YouTube video, you can even see, it's okay, people are watching it, right? But you can see how nervous I am. And I tell you how nervous I am. And I have a ton of experience. So you want to give yourself leeway. You want to honor that learning curve. You want to engage in that learning curve, right? So you no more than 2 or 3 platforms, absolutely none. But go ahead and identify platforms 4 and 5 that you're going to grow to, maybe when you're in a position where you can hire people, or you're working as part of a collaborative, or you grow ninja powers and start working social media outreach full time. Go ahead, have that plan. Know where you're going to grow next in the event-driven chronology, okay? A couple other general tips and practices: only commit to what you can sustain, okay? Right now, you're not doing anything, or you're not doing it in as organized or an efficient fashion as you would like. So you have nothing to lose by keeping the bar where it is. If you're gonna do it, if you're gonna grow it, only grow what you can sustain. And depending on what kind of population you're working with, be aware that you can actually do damage if you make promises, implied or otherwise, that you can't uphold. I've shared before that through my nonprofit, I work with the people who are affected by trauma. They're in the throes of trauma is the theme there, no matter what kind of trauma, okay? If you promise nothing, that's okay. That's where everybody is right now. But if you promise something and you don't deliver, you can cause serious harm and damage to that individual, their sense of trust, their sense of community. They took a real risk by coming out to your organization in the first place. They made themselves vulnerable. And if you don't honor that vulnerability, respect that vulnerability, cherish and guard that vulnerability by doing the things that you say you're gonna do, you can inadvertently cause them harm. And trust me, it's one of the worst feelings in the world, and you don't wanna feel that way, okay? So it may sound like a melodramatic leap from social media to causing trauma-affected people harm, but it's not, because you never know what kind of worth someone is gaining from your content. For all I know, and I hope and pray that this is true, right now, in speaking to you, I'm speaking to your deepest dreams, desires, vision, the call that God has on your life, and all of the emotions and experiences wrapped up in that. I hope and pray that that is what I am speaking to. So if it is, this isn't just another video. This isn't just another social media project, right? If that is true, then sustaining my presence here on YouTube matters. Don't commit to anything that you cannot sustain. You can always grow, and you will grow. But right now, become a master of one thing, okay? So identify that primary social media hub. The other reason, on a technical note, that you're going to identify a primary hub is because that's where you will focus the bulk of your time in the beginning as you get used to a schedule and content production. And then you'll repurpose that content for your other platforms. All right. I think we've done it for the first section. If you've got questions or comments about this overview section, please hit me up in the comments, send me a message, contact me through the information at my website. If this was useful to you, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you'll get the next 5 parts in this series. I'm going to drop a link to the social media outreach planner in the description below, as well as links to upcoming videos as they're published so that you don't miss a thing. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. It's a fantastic one. It's an exciting one. And whether you're working in a nonprofit, in a faith-based for-profit business, you're planning a project, you're just brainstorming at this point, or you're in a full-blown ministry, or you just want to be more organized about your family, your life is about to get better. And I'm extremely grateful to be part of the journey. So thank you, and until the next time, have a happy day.